Hello and welcome to Raj Sabha TV. I'm Amritanshu Rai. You're watching Constitutionally Yours from Meghalaya High Court campus in Shillong. In this program, we attempt to demystify the provisions of the Constitution. And joining me in this endeavor are a distinguished panel of guests from Meghalaya. Mr. Noor Khan, he is District Session Judge nominated by the Chief Justice of Meghalaya High Court. Mr. Andrew Simmons, Secretary Legislation, Meghalaya Legislative Assembly. And Mr. Jemino Mawthoh, he is MLA nominated by the Leader of Opposition. Mr. Andrew Simmons has been nominated by the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly. And in the audience, we have students from Northeastern Hill University. Today we will take up the state's responsibility and the center's responsibility, which in Constitution is termed as the state list and the center's list. The attempt is to try and understand whether these provisions have performed to the best efficiency as they were expected to do. So straight away, getting into the discussion. Meghalaya was earlier a part of Assam, and 3 of the tribal areas of Assam were carved out as a separate state of Meghalaya in 1972. Meghalaya's 86% population belongs to scheduled tribes, and major tribes being the Khasis, Jantias and the Garos. Less than 1% of the forest area of Meghalaya is under the control of the State Forest Department. 88% is in the hands of the autonomous hill councils of the 3 tribal, that is the Khasis, the Garos and the Jantias. Now, these are 2 autonomous institutions which exist simultaneously in Meghalaya. And is that in a way hindering the growth and development of this state? That's the point we will try and address. So what's your view on it, sir? The 2 autonomous institutions existing together because 6th schedule is a constitutional provision which allows these autonomous council to operate. And we also have the state list which gives land as the state subject. So there is some sort of a contradiction there as far as development and growth is concerned. Your point of view, sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. Rai, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to discuss and deliberate on some of the contentious issues that has been plaguing the state of Meghalaya for quite a long time. This has been deliberated time and again in the state of Meghalaya, and people are in a dilemma, actually, in a state of confusion with regards to the the existence of multiplicity of powers here in the state of Meghalaya. Yeah, it's true when we say that there are conflicting areas between the autonomous district council and the state government. And at the same time, there has also been areas where the state has been working together with the district council. But of late, the state and the district council has come at loggerheads. So we need to really examine whether the existence of these power structures in the state of Meghalaya, whether it has really affected the governance and administration of the people of the state of Meghalaya. We were very fortunate once upon a time when we got the 6th schedule, when we got the autonomous district council, because we feel that at that particular point of time when we were part of the state of Assam, we feel that there has to be some kind of protection and safeguards, especially with the rights of the indigenous people in the state of Meghalaya. We have the machine, but the way in which the machine was in operation, I think it has really affected, actually. There are inherent contradictions as far as the functioning of the district councils are concerned. And then we have this conflict with the state government. And this has had major ramifications as far as governance and administration in the state of Meghalaya is concerned. So as far as I'm concerned, if you ask me truthfully, there are three angles if you look at it when we talk about the district council. On the one hand, we say that we need the district council to protect and safeguard the rights and interests of the indigenous people. But there is also another school of thought which says that the district council has got no relevance now, and the state government has to play the role. Yeah, and the third contention is that the district council, the functioning of the district council needs to be corrected. So whatever, when we talk about these different perspectives, the common objective here is that all agree that traditional institutions are very extremely important as far as governance and administration in the state of Meghalaya is concerned.
Sir, I'll pass it on to you. On the legislative side, sir, what is the problem that one faces with these two provisions? Purely in terms of legislating, when you are legislating in the assembly and when the government, executive and the legislature put together are trying to push through something, how difficult is it to balance the two while legislating?
Well, all legislations are brought by the executive, and we don't have any problem, about legislating any bill or any acts. Government brings forward the bill, and it is discussed in the House, and if there's any contentious issues to be on the bill, it is passed on to a select committee, and the select committee examines the bill. And
but according to you, you've had a substantial amount of experience in this, and you also from here. So what I want to understand is, what is the contradiction? Do you see development and growth being hindered because of this inherent contradiction, legislative?
Well, as far as the executive is concerned, government has a problem in the complex land tenure system of the state, and government has a little say in as far as policy on land is concerned. So there are very many initiatives have been taken by the government, but all are hindered because of the land tenure systems, and there's a fear from the the indigenous institutions, about the measures to be taken by the government. So that is one of the problems that the government faces.
Sir, I'll pass it on to you. Your experience of deciding such matters, does this contradiction really impact the way the judiciary functions at the lowest level?
Now, first of all, just let me make it very clear. You see, I don't think so there is any confusion with regard to the functioning of the judiciary. You see, so far as the district council is concerned, para 4 of the 6th schedule provides for constituting a courts for different hierarchy: village court, subordinate court and district level courts. So these are the courts which have been constituted in para 4, and these are the dispute between tribals are taken up by these courts. Now, it is not that the high courts or the judiciary has been excluded. Now again you find in para 5 of the 6th schedule, the governor has been empowered to vest power on the high court to exercise power over all the district council courts. In 1948, this power was exercised and an act was passed that was, of course, it had been adopted by the high court, that high court's jurisdiction over the district council court. So far as functioning of the judiciary is concerned, that I don't think so there is any problem with the judiciary with the constitution of those courts. Yes, so far as the following the procedures are concerned, it is provided in 6th schedule itself that the intricacies of the procedural laws should not be an impediment while dispensing justice in these tribal areas. That is why it was made very clear that the provisions of CRPC and CPC should not be made applicable. Now this question was thrust in 1967 before the apex court, that why perhaps their contention was that it is a discrimination, why this procedure should not be followed, and it was answered in a case 1967 in a case of Ratan Singh versus State of Nagaland, that first of all we have to understand that when we talk about the procedures, there might be some misconception that why these procedures are not applicable in these tribal areas. When you talk about the procedures, we have to be very clear there is no vested right in procedures. These are only means to achieve. The goal is to dispense justice. So, they say that these technicalities of the procedure should not be an impediment in dispensing justice.
Okay.
So far as the district council is concerned, yes, it will be very nice, that if the laws, an attempt is made to codify the laws, so the functioning will be much more predictable and it will be very easy for the adjudication.
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 I get your point. I'll add in. So, Meghalaya has a unique position because most of the land inheritance laws or the systems that are followed are tradition based, and there is no specific ownership. It keeps shifting from time to time, but there is no codification of this subject, which is the land subject in the state list, and the state government has little power to interfere because most of them are the tribal councils who decide how the land is handled. Now, I'll toss over the question to the NEHU students. Yeah, on the interstate relationship.
Yes, my question is to Sir Simmons. Sir, in your opinion, how effective is the existing system of center-state relation towards overcoming backwardness in the state of Meghalaya?
Well, center-state relations have always been very cordial, and the center has always been, coming forward.
So, that's not the question he wants. He wants you to answer the impediments as it is written in the constitution vis-a-vis growth and development. He wants you to address that, not the atmospherics of the relationship, but the provisional provisions and the contradictions that are caused due to that.
I don't feel there is any impediment in, it depends on the government, which implements the various schemes, projects from time to time. So, it depends on the performance of the successive governments which is in power.
So, what you are saying is that the way it has been positioned, the state's responsibility and the center's responsibility,
right,
that is sufficient, no changes need to be made, and that's doing its work to the best of its efficiency. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's what I feel. States.
So, you have a point of view on that?
Yeah, I would like to add to what Mr. Andrew Simons had just said. See, we also have to understand the position of the state, these small states. For example, Meghalaya, northeastern states, which has been labeled as the special category states. Now, if we compare as far as center-state relations is concerned, I think there is a vast difference between these big states and these small states. You know, big states, they are income-generating states, whereas small states like Meghalaya, we live on the doles of the government of India. So we are dependent on the state for so many things. But as far as conflict is concerned, I think smaller states has lesser conflict with the center. But if we talk from the point of view of the aspirations of the people of the small tribal communities in the northeast, then maybe I feel that there are some conflicts in these areas, because I feel that the center needs to also articulate, the aspirations of the people of the state and of these small states situated in the northeastern region. And as far as development is concerned, yes, I think this also has to be addressed from a proper perspective, so that small states should not be looked at as satellites of the center, but they should also looked at as states which can also contribute to national development.
You want to add something?
Yes, I just want to say, so far as the position of the judiciary is concerned when it comes to center-state relationship, the few things we want to make it very clear. You see, it's just like judiciary, just to see that the judiciary will be exercising its power of a judicial review. Now, if you see Article 245 of the Constitution of India, the very opening word, it says that all the law made by the Parliament and the state legislature should be in conformity with the Constitution. Now, the moment the opening word itself says that, it gives a power to the judiciary to review. Now, when to review any of the legislation passed, Now, it does not end there. What my friend has pointed out, that you see the constitution has made it very clear. There are lists and the items are enumerated, which are the subject of the state as well as the subject of the center. And then we have the concurrent list. Now somebody might ask me, with the things are moving very fast, there might be certain subject which might just come. There might be some confusion whether the state can legislate it or whether the center can legislate it. But citizens should not suffer. Now, under these circumstances, these questions were posed time and again before the apex court. And then we found that it was answered saying that when there is a conflict or when there is a conflict between the law legislated by the state and the law legislated by the center, law legislated by the center will prevail, but there is a rider. First an attempt should be made to reconcile it. So reconciliation
and then center.
Then center.
Right. It's time for us to head into a break. We will remain on this subject and more on the other side of the break. Welcome back. We are on the issue of the center-state relations, the state's responsibility and the center's responsibility, which in the constitution is known as the state's list and the center's list. Yeah, I'll take the second question. Yeah.
My question is to the legislature. Sir, what is the stand of Meghalaya legislature with regard to goods and services tax bill which has been recently passed by the Parliament of India?
Correct.
Yeah, the resolution passed by the Parliament, it has been received by the Meghalaya Assembly, and the resolution will be forwarded to the Parliamentary Affairs Department of the Government of Meghalaya, and it will be brought in the coming session, that will be in September, and the House will deliberate on the resolution passed by the centre. It does not necessarily mean that the resolution will be passed by the Meghalaya Legislative Assembly. It depends on the unanimous decision of the House. If it is passed by the House, the resolution will be forwarded to the Parliament in the centre.
Next question.
My question is to legislature, whether the funds allocated by central government are properly utilized by the state or not.
Yeah.
Well, that's a question on the,
that you will not be able to address, sir. You as the...
I don't think so. Why I'm saying this is that, like I said, we as special category states, we have been living on the doles of the government of India for a very, very long time. And when we talk about the devolution of finances and so on, I think we have enjoyed so many of these benefits. But the only problem is as far as the implementation and the delivery system is concerned, I think we have failed in this regard. And because of this, our state is like this. It is because of the fact that we have failed to implement the various schemes, programs and projects which has been given by the government of India. We have resources in our state. We also have money coming from the center. And I think that if we have performed accordingly, I think we will not have so much of problems as far as development of these small states are concerned. And then we also have, just to remind you, that we have the Northeastern Council, which was created especially for the development of the Northeastern states. And then we also have the donor. Now, if we have these two organizations who are supposed to cater to the development of the Northeastern states, then why are we still, backward in many sense? Standard of living has not improved, the quality of life of the people in the state has not improved. So I think we have failed miserably in delivering.
He can't be any more honest than this. Very honest answer. Yeah, next.
So looking into the structural and functional aspects of the center-state relationships, it is found that the constitution is much in the favor of the center. So don't you think, sir, that this imbalance needs to be rectified by restructuring these relations?
Sir, no. Sir, I think you should take it.
No, like I said, see, whether we call it a federal constitution or we call it a unitary constitution, I think one thing should be clear in mind, we have to think about the purpose, the objective of how we can work together collectively. Okay, we are in the same country, and we also have to think about the integrity of the nation as a whole. Now, what is important is that, you know, when we talk about the conflicts, we have been highlighting some of the conflict areas between the center and the state. But I feel that there are also areas of reconciliation. You know, the state or the center should not think that since they are at the center, at the helm of affairs, they can dictate terms to the states. And the states also cannot say that, you know, whatever they do, you know, will contradict with what the center is thinking. I think we need to come together and address some of the pertinent issues that is in conflict between the center and the states. And like I said, states, center should not treat the states as satellites. We also, there is supremacy of power. Center has got its power, state also has got its power. But the only thing is that that process of reconciliation has to be there if we are to build the relationship. Now, if we talk about legislature between the center and the state, maybe it is quite rigid. But if we talk about the executive is not so rigid. You know, we have the Indian Administrative Services, which tries to bring about uniformity and standard in terms of administration.
Yeah, would you like to interview? The question is clear that as it has been provided in the Constitution, the powers of the center and also the judgment that Sir mentioned favors the center more and centralizes everything and leaves little for the state governments.
Well, I feel it has already been made clear. I mean, the Constitution has made it very clear, the union list and the state list and the concurrent list. And sometimes I feel states may enact laws which are ultra vires, and I think the center has a say, I mean, on such matters. So I feel the framers of the Constitution has carefully, I mean, carefully structured, I mean, the different areas of the center and the state.
And that has been further strengthened by the interpretation of the judiciary. Is that correct?
I'd just like to add, I don't understand why do we get into that area that the center is lopsided. We have to make it very clear. We have a system, the federal system of the Indian Constitution is very different from that of American federal system. We are a quasi-federal government. And then why do we go on the center and state relationship when we want some developments? We have the directive principle of state policy, part 4 of the Constitution. Article 46 makes it very clear. You make law for the development and the welfare of the people. You, with the so many decisions of the apex court, now it has come very close that even the directive principle of state policy, it has become, it is enforceable. It is enforceable. So there are certain, you see, when the Constitution was drafted, there are certain things which was enumerated in the list which could not be foreseen. So you have to understand the Constitution is an organic document, and we have to treat it like an organic document. It has been rightly observed that the law should be stable, no doubt, but at the same time it should be dynamic. It should cope up with time. So that is why we have provisions. Once upon a time, directive principle of state policy was not enforceable. Now we find that in certain welfare measures, the state is very active. We cannot take shelter under the the conflict between the state legislature and the center, and that's why no development is coming up. So that is, I don't think so. That is a justification we can give.
Right. Next question.
Mostly we find that it is always on the part of the state that cannot really implement our schemes. Despite money coming from center, the 10% part itself cannot be fulfilled from our states. So is it feasible, sirs, that our state government should keep, say, books of accounts?
Why isn't the state in a position to contribute its portion of the funds and make the scheme realizable?
Okay, there are two things here. I've made a mention about big states which are income generating states. Then we have small states like Meghalaya. When it comes to revenue realization, when it comes to making money for the state, I think it has become extremely difficult because of inherent problems again in the state. And as far as contribution of the state is concerned, it is sad to say, very unfortunate that we have not been able to do that. Now with this, earlier it was Planning Commission, now with this Niti Aayog, and then when you talk about these central sponsored schemes, let me tell you, even 10% contribution also is making it very difficult for a small state like Meghalaya to even contribute. I can cite so many examples as far as these centrally sponsored schemes are concerned. We have not been able to contribute even 10% also. So the second part, which I feel is important, is that you're talking about the book of accounts. I feel that accountability has to be there. Accountability, transparency in the implementation of these various schemes. I think that is very important. I was just, let me just give an example. Let me just give an example of why we have faith. In just recently, the students, since we're talking to a group of young people here, they were saying, "Sir, why are we not getting our scholarships?" Then when I asked the government, they said that the center has not released for 2014-15 the second installment amounting to 34 crores. I said, why is this happening? If every year, you know, students are getting scholarship, why is it that this time they're not getting? So if we do not have the proper...
What was the answer? What was the reason, sir? Why wasn't the center releasing? Is it because of delay, or was it because of state's portion not being...
No, delay, it is not so much, I don't think so, it is the delay, it is the failure on the part of the state government.
To realize it, to get it, to extract it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all we have time for in this episode. We'll be back with a new issue and a new subject. Keep watching Raj Sabha TV.